Welcome to another episode of V4Veganism. We are here with Cathy Ramos. She is the founder of CLRTrust and a naturally vegan life coach. And this is her son Des and her daughter Lou. Thank you guys so much for joining us today.
No, it's our pleasure. We're super excited.
Yeah. So before we get into everything that you do, especially to push the vegan movement forward, I want to talk about your journey to veganism. Were you vegan before you started your company?
I've been a meat eater my entire life.
Yeah.
And then after having my daughter, I blew up and I just needed energy, right? Because, I mean, they're so active and just so on point that I started looking up ways to get energy. And what I found was that meat was dead, you know? And it's like, you know that it's dead, but it doesn't actually click that it's dead. So dead food kills your energy. And then with all of this, the antibiotics and all of the drugs that's inside of the milk, it's like you kind of wonder why your body isn't performing at its top performance. So we started eliminating that. As we eliminated that, the energy was just there, and then the weight just started coming off, and it was awesome that I had to continue it. And then as I was continuing it, you know, then people started recognizing it, and they're like, wow, you look good, hey, you look different, and how did you do that? What did you do? So then the coaching just kind of like came from there, you know. It was an after part, yeah.
The naturally vegan and the life coaching, they kind of go hand in hand.
My whole stance as a coach is to align the mind, body, and soul. You know, like it's one thing to be healthy, but then you can always be toxic in just your thoughts and in how you interact with other people. So for me, I'm really big on, you know, bringing you full circle, making you the best that you can possibly be. And in order to do that, you need your health.
Right.
And the easiest way to do that is to go vegan, you know, because you can be an unhealthy vegan,
right,
or you can be a healthy vegan. So it's just making the transition and slowly taking out the toxic foods and putting in the new ones, which is where the naturally vegan movement came in. So I've been partnering, you know, with different vendors who offer vegan-based products, because it's so important that we understand that it's a complete body. You know, with your skin being the largest organ, you're gonna need natural soaps. You don't want anything that has like the pig fat that's inside of it, or even just down to the deodorants. Like deodorants are literally clogging your armpits, and then that's causing cancer, and then the cancer is feeding on the meat that you're eating, and then it's spreading. And so how do we combat that? You know, we take the naturally vegan movement and we make the transition. So that's where the movement came into, because you don't have to be full-fledged vegan to participate in it, but that's the end goal. The end goal is to take control of your health and to live a plant-based lifestyle.
Okay. So do you, in terms of your clients, do you have people that maybe push back on the veganism at all, or do they kind of just trust you completely to guide them?
So I ease into it, and for me the easiest thing is for them to let me control their eating habits, you know. So I coach you through it, and we have our phone calls, and we make sure that you're on the right track into hitting your personal goals. But it's so easy to regress. You know, you have a bad day and it's like, oh, well, the ice cream is right there, so let's go and eat that. But if you're allowing me to cook for you, at least you know that it's like, listen, I had a bad day here, let me have this sherbet that I made, you know, or let me eat some of this homemade chocolate that doesn't have any milk. So I'm still giving you the junk foods, or those happy foods, as I like to call them, but you're not regressing back.
Right.
So meal prepping, even just having just certain foods set out for the week are really important, because schedules get hectic and your life gets hectic, and then it's like, what do? You know, do you just go to the corner store and get like that sandwich? Or vegan restaurants aren't on every corner, and a bag of chips, when you look at it, you know, not all of them are vegan, and so many of them have like these ingredients that really aren't great for you. So meal prepping and having it handy, you know, bringing an apple in your bag or some grapes or something that you can just munch on is ideal.
Yeah. So do you go to people's homes and cook for them, or do you cook here and then you kind of bring them?
So it's a little bit of both. I go to your home and I'll do like a home demo for you, and we'll go through your cabinets and actually pick out, like what you should be keeping, what you shouldn't. I go food shopping with you as well, because just walking through the aisles is so intimidating, and then you start reading the ingredients and you're like, wait, what am I looking for? Yeah. So I like to hold your hand throughout the whole process. I think that just makes it so much easier. When it comes down to meal prepping though, I do use my own home. I'm a lot more efficient in there. I know this space. Yeah. But I reach you where you're at, so what are you looking for? The food shopping is really such a big hit, because so many times we go food shopping and I'm like, all right, let's see, what are you going to put inside of your cart?
That's amazing, actually. That I feel like so many people could benefit from that. I mean, aside from the life coaching, something within veganism is, one of the biggest challenges is having that support and knowing what to buy when you go to the grocery store. So having someone be there with you, I mean, that's huge, taking out the guesswork for people. And a lot of people want their hands to be
for sure. I mean, this is a lifestyle change, and it's food controls us on so many aspects. We're social eaters to begin with. When we get together, like even now, I was like, hey, did you guys want to eat? Yeah. It's just where we revolve around food. So to be able to have that hand-holding, as you said, to ease you out of, we can still eat food, but how do we eat the right foods?
Right.
And how do we know what are the right foods? Because so many times it's like, well, if you look at studies, it's like, yeah, you can eat this, but then no, wait, now you can't eat that, but then this is okay, and then that is okay, and now it's like you're super confused. And I remember I had tried to do the Dr. Sebi lifestyle. I was like, I'm going to be an alkaline vegan. And then I walked into the supermarket and there were like 2 things that I could eat. And I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Like, it's super intimidating for sure. So that's why I wanted to give that support, because you don't want anybody to fail just off of not knowing. You failed because you weren't ready to commit, not because you didn't have the resources to do it.
Right.
You also have, along with all this, you have a line of kind of skincare or body care. And you make all that stuff here at home.
We import all of the ingredients. I'm really big on knowing who the supplier is, because so many times it'll say that it's organic, and even if you look into organic now, they can still have pesticides inside of it. Okay. It's just not as many as GMO or standard conventional foods. Right. So I really like to know my supplier. So I'm going out, well, I'm not really going out there, but I'm like virally looking, what are you doing? We're phone calling on WhatsApp and just getting to know them. So then I make everything here. This way it's the highest quality, and we're making sure that they're healthy on every level. Your skin is the largest organ, and it's a reflection of how you look on the inside. So many times people have like dry skin or scabs or just flakiness, acne, like the list goes on and on, blotches, red bumps, like it's because you're toxic inside, or because you're having an allergic reaction to what you are using. So then when you start looking into the brands that you're using and you start researching them a little bit further, you find out that they may not be using the highest standards. Like just because it's an expensive product doesn't mean that they're using the highest quality. It just means that the packaging looks expensive. So I started at home, and it was like literally just doing it for us. My son, he had a really bad rash, and it was like, what do I do to take care of that? So we were using store-bought stuff, and it was just getting worse. So I started going back to the basics, and it was a lot of coconut oil, and then we started with the castor oil, and then I found shea butter, and we just all fell in love with shea butter. So that's the basis of my lotions. And then I still have a cavity, but I started making my own toothpaste, and the cavity started shrinking because of that. Wow. So it's crazy how, you go to the dentist and it's like once your enamel is gone, that's it, your teeth are going to be gone. But I'm proving otherwise, and I have people who buy it that say that it's not. I mean, they don't taste good, like at all, and it's like you have to put that out there, because people are like, wow, it's super gritty. Like it is, but It's a matter of, does it taste gritty now and you have your teeth when you get older, or does it taste good now and then now you have to wear dentures?
Yeah.
So the line is definitely evolving, and we keep on adding in new things, and it just goes on of like, whenever I meet my clients and they have special needs, or I don't have a product that deals with that, then I'll start formulating, and I'll start looking for new things in order to really hit the audience, because they need it. Where are they going to get it from? And then it goes into the naturally vegan movement, where I'm meeting other vendors and we're like cross promoting, and it's like, hey, you know what, you should go over here to get this and you should go over there to get that, because we trust each other and we had the conversation and we're on the same page about the ingredients.
Mm-hmm. So in terms of the life coaching, I guess, part of it, there was something that you said that I read on your website, was that everyone has a purpose, and you want to help people, find out what their purpose is. And that kind of struck me, because I was talking to a man who, he has a live market. He believes that animals were put on the earth for us to eat. And I asked him, what he thought his purpose was, and he said to live a good life. And I was like, that's not really a purpose, but I didn't really know how to combat that answer. What do you think about that? Like, is that an answer? Is that a purpose? Like, to live a good life?
Well, no, and it's funny because when I first start dealing with my clients, it's like we talk about that, and so many people are like, well, I want to be happy, or I want to be comfortable, and those are just such vague answers, because what does that mean? Like, to me, that means something different than what it means to you. So something that we do when we first start is you write down how your life is going to look, right? So it's 50 things, and it can go over how superficial, right? What is your car? What is your house? What do you look like? But then we go more into depth, and what kind of relationships are you having? When you look at yourself, what do you see? Are you happy? Like, when you look at yourself in the morning, right? In the morning, we all look the ugliest. Like, let's be honest with each other. Do you smile at yourself? Are you like, hey, I love you? Or are you like, wow, look at these bags? Or, oh my goodness, my skin. That has such an effect on how we then live out our day. So in order for you to live out your purpose, you need to have that self-love about yourself. So I really go into that, and we kind of spend, I would say, a good, depending on the person, because some people get it immediately, like they're like, I'm ready, yes, let's go. Other people, you have to, chisel, because we've gone through so many things that we have so many barriers up that to break it down. So we spend a couple of weeks on just getting to know ourselves, because you're created, like that's something that I am 100% on. Like, you are created. So if you're created, we're different. We may look the same and we may bleed the same, but because we are created, we don't all fit into that box. So what are your gifts? Mm-hmm. What are your talents?
Yeah.
And we already know what they are. We just don't, like, it's just not clicking, Yeah. So it's like, listen, I'm really good at reading, or I'm really good at drawing, or I'm just really good at talking to people, like those are your gifts in order to build you up to really hit the purpose that you're supposed to have. So that's something that we go into, and there's like a whole Q&A series that I do, and then we just dissect it, and it's a lot of just getting to know yourself, because for the most part we tend to fill ourselves with what the TV tells us. Yes. Right? It's like, oh, well, they said that I should wear this outfit, or they said that I should talk like this or drive that. But when you take all of that, it's really superficialness away, what are you left with?
Yeah.
And then that's you.
Yeah.
And that's what you need to own and love and like puff out your chest about, because that's the beauty of you right there. Mm-hmm. So that's a major part of the coaching aspect.
I think, and I agree that, we often listen to television or whoever, like on social media, whatever, that's where a lot of us are trying to figure out, like, oh, what's important. And I think when I went vegan was when I realized that none of that stuff was important, and this sort of weight was lifted off my shoulders, and I was like, oh, I'm a human being now, and I don't care about any of that stuff because none of it matters.
so funny how you said that once you went vegan, and that just goes back to the dead food, you know, because you're a light being. So as you're eating dead, it's killing your light. Once you eliminate the death, your light shines brighter, that you realize that you don't need to be fulfilled by the outside energy, you know? Yeah. So that's definitely a perk of going vegan, is that you're automatically more in tune. You may not be able to sense it or actually give it a name or realize what it is, but it's because your light is shining brighter.
That, I mean, and that is sort of exactly what I felt, was that, you know, I could finally like be the person that I was meant to be. And yeah, I couldn't really articulate it at first, but I knew something had changed. And it, you know, spiritually, like whatever, something in me had clicked, and I was never going to be the person that I was before.
It's amazing, right?
It's crazy, yeah. And you know, and this is something that we were talking about yesterday, is that there's sort of this catch-22 with veganism as well, where people who are not vegan can't really comprehend that change until you do it. So when we're trying to tell people about it, they're kind of like looking at us like we have 10 heads. And it's like, no, but if you do it, you'll understand. You know? Just try it and you'll know what I'm talking about. I promise it's not crazy. Like, you know, it's just something that just happens. You know, you don't really even will it to happen. It just, once you make that change, it just happens. But something that you said about us all being different and you know, having our own individual talents, that's also something that our society kind of tries to squash, and they try to say, well, no, this is the thing that's important and this is what everyone should be striving to be. And you know, and then so people kind of push down what they're naturally talented at, and they try to be this thing that they're really not, and then that's how we wind up being extremely unhappy. It's like, well, why am I not getting this? And it's like, well, because that's not what you're really meant to do.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. That's so true. So I homeschool specifically for that reason. You know, that there's so many indoctrinations that go on. And I'll tell you guys flat out, if anybody's going to indoctrinate my children, it's going to be me. And it's my children, so I get that say. Exactly. But there's so many things, even in dealing with her friends, that it's like, you have to learn this way. You know, you have to be able to read this way. You have to be able to write this way. And it's like, but what happened to the creativity? Because we want you to be creative. We want you to be creative during art class, but then that ends. So it's like you said, so now we're all unhappy. So we're all unhappy, and now we're having unhappy relationships. Now we're having unhappy children. And now we're having an unhappy society where all we're focusing on is literally death. You know, so now let's go to war and let's go fight people, or let's start these issues here, even in our own neighborhoods. It's like, could you imagine if we were all just these happy-go-lucky light beings? What? You could walk down the neighborhood like with money flowing out of your pockets, and you wouldn't even have to worry about getting robbed, you know, because everybody would just love each other. Yeah. And to walk around with love. So an exercise that I like to do, especially when I do my public speakings, is like, when you leave, smile at somebody. You know, smile at a crowd and watch how everybody starts smiling. Like, it may not be everybody because you still have that negative Nelly, but for the most part, everybody starts smiling because it's like, it's a huge crowd, so they think you're smiling at them, but then it's like automatic to smile back. And now, for that brief moment, you are happy. You know, and it's like, how do we go about living our lives in a state of happiness as opposed to just having bursts of happiness? So I like to ask my clients, you know, whenever we get on the phone, and I'm like, so what was the highlight of your day? And that's such a hard question because we go through the routine day in and day out that we're on autopilot. So it's like, wait, the highlight, like, was I supposed to have one? Yeah. It's like, yeah, you were. Yeah. You know, so it's really just try to strive for that, you know. And as you start really making the transition, if you're not already vegan, or even if you are vegan, start your day off with fruit. Fruit is for energy, right? Fruit is for life. That's why it contains more water, because it's super hydrating. So you start off your day with that, you're already in a better mood than you were if you would have started off with like oats or cereal or bread or anything like that. You know, so just to kind of go through that, and even if you can wake up with some serenity type of music, like I like to wake up my kids with a tickle, you know, like it's something just to get you like happy. You shouldn't start off your day with that alarm clock and the like, I hate that sound, I hate it. You know, start off happy, start off with joy, and then it's just gonna exude. And when you're happy, you automatically make those smarter eating choices. You know, you're not gonna go for like the burger or the fries or I don't know, whatever you meat eaters eat nowadays. I'm so out of the loop. But you're gonna make those healthier choices because you wanna keep on having that energy. You wanna be happy. Like nobody is ever like, no, I just wanna be in a bad mood all day.
Yeah.
You know, like it happens, but we don't choose that. Or we don't really make that choice knowingly.
Yeah.
It's kind of like subconsciously. So, yeah.
So Des eats vegan.
Yes.
Yes. And you were saying that Lou is vegetarian.
So yeah, Lou is vegetarian. The rest of my family still eats meat. And I try. But you know what? All you can really do is just plant seeds. It's on them to water and harvest it. Yes. So she still eats. She'll have tuna fish, and sometimes a little bit of cheese. But
Sometimes cereal.
and sometimes cereal. Yes. So we're working on it, and you don't want to force.
Yeah.
That's something that I'm super adamant about. I know when I was making the transition, I literally like binge watched like every video out there on Netflix about health, and this one guy, I think he was a doctor, and he was like, he doesn't force his children. You know, he doesn't want to be that person who's like, you can't. You know, if they're going to a party and they have like chicken nuggets or they have cake or they have whatever, he's like, she knows. And I love that. Like that touched me because it's like, you know, you're instilling the values in them, but you're not living the life for them.
Right.
So we go over things, and you know, we watch videos, and we've watched how they make the gummies, and you know how they literally boil the pigs alive. Like we watch all of that. I want her to be able to have a really good idea of what it is, because Kanzi looks great. Like they're hitting all of the colors of the rainbow, and the commercials look amazing, but they're not showing you how they're making it. And it's super sad because we love the baby pigs. Like they're so cute, and then could you imagine like walking into a room and having to cut that throat? Like I couldn't do it. I don't know if anybody else could do it, but I couldn't do it. So now watching how certain foods are made, you're now understanding what's going into that, you know? So if that animal was suffering and that fear was inside of that animal, like now you're eating that. So now you wonder why you're depressed, and then you wonder why you're having all of these coping issues and why you can't seem to hold relationships. It's like because you have all of that fear from all of those animals inside of you.
Yeah.
If you let that go, your issues will go too, you know? So so that's what we're working on with her, you know? So we show her what's going on, and we watch the videos, and we have conversations about it. And then at the end of the day, like there's certain times that she will pick healthier options over the tuna fish, and she knows that I don't make it for her. Like definitely not. We're not making any of that. You want that, you have to wait until they come home. Yeah, we have to wait for Lela.
But so does anyone give you any sort of issues with the way that you...
Yeah. Where are they getting their protein from? And I'm like, why are we still on that question? Like, what? So it's a matter of really just being able to answer the question, you know? So when they ask me that, I'm like, so where does the cow get the protein from?
Right.
You know, it's like, well, he's eating grass, so wouldn't I cut out the middleman? Like, doesn't that just make sense? And then isn't kale cheaper than buying milk anyways? And then, like, let's look at the actual statistics. So Canada and America are like the top 2 in osteoporosis, but they're also the top 2 in consuming dairy. So, you know, the numbers don't lie.
Right.
Why would I do that? You know, why would I even poison myself, and then better yet, poison my children? Because that's one thing that we say, that we love our children and we'll do the best for our children, but we're not educated enough to really even make that statement if we're not feeding them the best that we can feed them. So we do have our moments, and they do call them treats, where, you know, we'll have some type of candy, and it's like once in a blue. So that this way I know that her body is going to pull those toxins out. Like if you're eating it all the time, your body doesn't have the chance to flush it out.
Right.
So you don't want to be that bad parent that they like grow up with the complex about. You don't want to be that. But you also don't want to be that lenient parent that they're going to grow up obese with high blood pressure or diabetes or something that's going to be a life-threatening that they're going to have to live with, that's almost like a handicap. You know, like you don't purposely do that for your kid. We're just not educated enough that that's what we are doing.
Yeah.
So I really try my hardest to not do that. You know, like, again, education is super key. And then I tell her so that this way she's educated. And at least she knows what she's doing. And then we don't lie at all. You know, so if she does make a bad choice or she does eat something that she knows is not healthy, that we still talk about it. You know, because I don't want her to feel like, oh, I'm speaking this and I'm able to do that. Like, no, like, let's be open and honest about it. I'm not going to get upset, but let's talk about why you did it. What could you have done? Did you feel like that was the best decision? If it was, then it was, you know, like it's your body to a point, but let's grow from that and let's be able to heal. It's all about healing. You know, it's 80-20 is the rule, so that this way you don't feel like you're living inside of a cave away from everybody else. Like, you can still have your fun, but be aware of what you're doing.
There's something you just said about our bodies being able to process out the toxins. Like, our bodies are built that way to be able to, like, we can physically eat these things that are not good for us because our bodies have the ability. We have things inside of us. We have a liver, we have other organs that will flush out toxins, but you need to give your body the time to do it. And I watch people eat, you know, eggs and bacon for breakfast, and then steak and chicken sometimes for lunch, and then who knows what they're eating for dinner, and that's every single day, when really, you know, if you are going to eat animal products, it should be like once a week, twice a week at most, so that your body has the time to process out those toxins. And we're just that's why we have all these diseases, because we're eating these things at an astronomical rate. You know, as veganism is growing, they also say that meat eating is growing. So that means that more people are going vegan, but then the meat eaters are eating way more meat than they ever were before.
Yes.
You know, so, which is also sort of a daunting thing to think about, that we're like trying to combat this issue and it's just like getting worse.
So there's certain things that our body is able to filter out. You know, like if you ate cheese or if you drank milk, because it's semi-diluted. Then when you look at the actual body, our large and small intestines is too long to be able to actually filter out meat. You know, and if you were made to eat meat, you would literally eat it raw. Like, there would be no reason to season it or to even cook it. So when it comes down to meat, we were not made to eat that. But when it comes down to meat, and then even if you look at how they make the meat now, like, it's pumped with medication. You know, we're not supposed to be taking medication like that, and we're not supposed to be eating dead like that. Then, like you said, it's 3 meals. And it's 3 meals every single day, that it's like you're not even allowing your body the chance to try to clean itself, because it's like as soon as you wake up, you're putting more dead in. And then for lunch, it's more dead. And our meals just get bigger as the time goes on.
Yeah.
And then we wonder, like you said, and then we wonder why we're always so sick and why everybody's getting so sick. But be conscious of what you're doing. Stay away from pre-packaged meat, processed meats, Lunchables, bacon, ham, those type of things. The FDA has a rule that as long as it's 51% of an ingredient, you can call it what it is. That means that it's 49% of inorganic matter. That's like literally like going out and eating like paper or plastic. And they're putting it inside the food, but you're eating it because it tastes good, because it has all of these natural flavors. So it's like, wow, that's crazy.
That is so crazy. Yeah.
Like, it's literally like you can have a donut, cut it in half, put the other half of Play-Doh, and then eat the whole thing. And that's like what the FDA approved as being real. And you're just like, this is what we're feeding our children. Like, if you don't want to think about yourself because you're like, whatever, I'm already at that point, like, think about the future. Like, what are you leaving behind? Like, what's your legacy like? That should be motivation to change. Because some people are like, well, you know what? I'm already like 60, 70. I'm on my way out. But then what about your grandkids? What about your kids? Like, what about your great-grandkids? They're like following you.
Yeah.
You know, and it's genetics to a point. Because it's like, oh, well, you know, my grandmother had that disease, and my grandmother had cancer, my grandmother had diabetes, but you're eating the same thing that she's eating. Except now you're eating more packaged and pre-processed.
Yeah.
You know, so it's getting even worse.
It's worse.
So you're getting it at a younger age than your grandmother got it at. How do we combat that?
Yeah.
So what I think is awesome, and I'm not sure who started it. I know it was a vegan who started it, but they're doing Meatless Mondays.
Yes.
So I love that idea. Like, I fell in love with it. So I push that all the time. It's like, well, you know what? If you can, just go meatless for Monday. And it's so easy. And what you have to realize is that you're already halfway vegan. Like, you're already eating rice. You're already eating vegetables. You're already eating the salad. You're already eating the fruits. Just don't put the meat on top of it.
Right.
And don't put the meat on the side of it. Like, you're literally 50-50 right now. Yeah. So just let go of the meat and you can still have a filling meal. And again, meat tastes bad by itself. That's why you have to season it. If it tasted good, you wouldn't need the seasoning. So just put the seasoning on the other foods and leave the meat out, and you're good.
Yeah, I mean, I've had plenty of carrot bacon, you know, because it's the same exact seasoning.
I've never even heard of that. That's so cool.
Try it. It's so good. I mean, you use everything that they use to season bacon, like the liquid smoke and all the other stuff, and then you bake it, and the carrots come out like kind of, they're a little bit soft, but like, oh my gosh, they taste amazing. But, and there's so many other kinds of bacon out there other than pig bacon that, and it's just the way that it's seasoned.
That's it.
Coconut bacon, like, there's so many other kinds. And then, you have your cow burger, or you have all these other burgers over here. So it's like, why even like eat that same thing that you eat every day when there's all these other options that are not going to clog your arteries?
Exactly. Try it. Like, it's just try it.
Gonna do the opposite of hurt you to try.
Yes, that's it. And it's funny because you'll go to a restaurant and you'll try like a different sushi, or you'll try this new different type of meat. Like, just go out and try a quinoa burger, a mushroom burger. Oh my goodness, what's the name of the mushroom? Okay, I'm trying. Portobello. So a portobello bun on a quinoa burger, oh my goodness, it's amazing. And this stuff, and it looks real, so we're really trying to meet you at your level where we make it look as close as possible. And I remember I had a conversation with someone who was vegan, and it was like, well, why are we trying to do that? And we're not doing it for us, we're doing it for everyone else so that we could easily usher them in.
Yeah.
Because it's again, like, we've already made the change. We already know what it's like. Like, it's really our purpose to bring it out to the world and to tell other people. We talk about the latest fashion, and we talk about, what this singer was doing or what that superstar was doing. Like, let's talk about food like that. Let's talk about the benefits of, hey, try this. It's so good. You're not going to have to unbuckle your pants after because you're going to have all of this energy. Yeah. Then now we can go out and do something.
Yeah, you're not going to be bloated afterwards. Yeah. But, and that's, food is really everything. Food is life, and without food, like, we don't exist. And so it's so like counterintuitive to me for people to not think about what they're putting in their mouths, like, and in their bodies. Like, that's everything. Your body is everything. Your body is the only reason that you're here.
Exactly.
And your body runs on what you put inside of it. So why should we not be talking about that? Why should I be sitting there watching a ton of people eat dead animal flesh and having to keep my mouth shut and, being self-conscious about what's on my plate, when like it's literally everything. Like nothing else matters before what you feed your body.
Exactly.
You know, what you put on it in terms of clothing.
Who cares?
Who cares? It
Like,
doesn't
who cares?
matter
Yeah.
at all.
Totally irrelevant.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have your health, would you even be able to get dressed?
Right.
You know, like we're not thinking that far. And it's like, you know, food is life. What type of life do you want to have? And it's such an easy question that you don't have to think too far into it. Like, what do you want out of life? Do you want life or do you want death? Do you want to be able to see your future generations? Do you want to be able to see yourself fulfill your own goals? Like, let's make it personal. Like, do you want to be able to see that? Or do you just want to go through the motions, deteriorate, and die? Like, it's not a hard choice. I mean, I personally don't think it's a hard choice, but it's like, it's either or, you know? Like, let's cut out all of this gray area. Like, do you want life or do you want death?
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
I choose life.
Well, and that, you know, some people, or a lot of people, that phrase of, oh, well, we're all going to die anyway. But, I mean, yes, but do you want to die a miserable, slow, painful death? Or do you want to maybe die at 100 in your sleep? You know, like my grandmother just passed away this past year. She was vegetarian. She wasn't vegan, but she grew up on a farm in Croatia. So that's why she loved all the animals and she never wanted to see any of them killed. You know, and she was 106 and she died in her bed. You know, and it's like, is that, do you want to be that, or do you want to be the person who, you know, at 60 or 65 is either dying of a heart attack or, you know, you're having a massive invasive surgery, which, let's be real, all surgeries are invasive. Like, you're not supposed to be cutting into your body. It's totally unnatural.
Because it's, there's so many things that we're doing now that are norm, you know, like the surgeries or just going to the doctor. But when you really make it personal, it's like, dig within yourself and what type of quality of life do you want? Yeah. Write that out. Like, literally write that out. Journaling is so important because you're not only brain dumping, but you're also manifesting. Mm-hmm. And then write by hand. There's something about putting pen to paper that your brain just connects with it so much better than typing.
Yeah.
I also like to journal in color. I think when you're sad, like a dark color, and then when you're happy, a bright color, because when you go back and read it, you're just flooded with those emotions again. But write out what you want your life to look like and then make it happen. Because you're going to realize that what you're doing now is going to affect the future. So if you want to be able to travel the world. You want to be able to have a huge family. You want to make multi-million dollars. Like, it doesn't matter what your goal is. What are you doing right now that's going to help manifest that? Like, what are you doing right now that's going to be able to bring that into reality? You know, you can't just be sitting on your butt right now watching TV and expect to make millions. Like, I don't know anybody who are rich doing that. If they did, please let me know. I would love that. But speak it into existence, write it into existence, and then make the small changes today to be able to live out your future. Yeah. And go fruit. I love fruit. We're doing raw till 4 here. Ooh. So it's, yeah. So I do it about 5 days. I can't do the full 7 yet, especially with the meal prepping. Yeah. But I already feel the difference. Like, it's just, for me, it's all about the energy. Like, I've already lost 50 pounds just going vegan, which is, like, amazing because I really don't like to work out. Like, working out is important. You want to be able to move. It actually flushes out the toxins. I think me just raising the kids was me working out. Yeah. But going raw just brings you to a whole nother level. Like, just the clarity is just like, it's so awesome. It's so awesome. So there's different levels to it. And that's another thing. Like, don't look at what they're doing. Look at what you're doing and what you want to do. Don't compare yourself, because that's another thing that we get stuck in. Like, oh, well, she's able to do that. How come I can't do that? But again, you're not here for the same purpose.
Mm-hmm. Cathy, thank you so much for meeting with us and talking with us. I feel like I could talk to you for hours and hours. But we don't want this episode to be hours long. So we just appreciate you so much and your knowledge and your expertise and your perspective on everything. Guys, make sure to subscribe below, and we will catch you on the next episode.